Hi, this is a recorded lecture for the DPDT Topic 2.5 Green Design. And the essential ideas and concepts in this subtopic are that green design integrates environmental considerations into the design of a product without compromising its integrity. So the idea is that you're getting essentially the same product, but designed in a way that doesn't destroy the environment or damage the environment. Designing green products is very iterative, improving existing products, design specifications, and functionality to be more green. And the purpose of a green design is to help ensure a sustainable future for all. So the definition of green design is right here. So this is designing in a way that takes into account the environmental impact of a product throughout its life cycle. So throughout its life, from extraction all the way to disposal or recycling, we're trying to take into account all of that information and design in such a way that we are minimizing environmental impact. This is a good video that explains green design and why it matters. Here's some examples of green design. So we have the Amazon biodomes, so have a look at that video, and this explains what a LEED building is, and this is also something that is green designs of buildings. So it's interesting. You can see kind of the different environmental considerations that are taken when designing a building. The IB loves objectives. So when you see this objectives of green design, it's important to pay attention to that. If it's objectives of anything, you want to pay attention to that, because those are going to be things that are going to be on the exams. So the objectives for green design are increasing efficiency in the use of materials, energy, and other resources. This is one of the objectives of green design. Objectives for green design can also be minimizing damage or pollution from a chosen material. So you choose one material that is less damaging. So for instance, rather than using, say, styrofoam, you would use cardboard. Or rather than using ABS, you might use PLA or something like that. Something that is less damaging than other choices. So try to think about that as you are picking materials for your designs. We want to reduce to a minimum any long-term harm caused by the use of a product. So we don't want, pollution to be pouring into rivers and damaging those. Ensuring that the planned life of a product is the most appropriate in environmental terms, and that the product functions efficiently for its full life. This is kind of an interesting one. If you think about the fact that a modern washing machine that you might clean your clothes in is vastly more efficient than one that was produced 10 years ago, it would make sense to almost replace that 10-year-old washer with a brand new one, because you'll use less resources in the sense of water and energy and all kinds of different things. It's just vastly more efficient, and you would want that to last into the future and be efficient through its full life. You might take into account the effects of the end of life or disposal of a product. How much of it is ending up in landfill, how much of it gets washed into rivers, how much of it gets washed into the ocean. So you want to take into account all of those effects. You want to make sure that the packaging and instructions encourage efficient and environmentally friendly use. So what you don't want, again, is stuff being washed into rivers and lakes and oceans. You want to minimize nuisances such as noise or smell. You want them to be safe, so you need to analyze and minimize potential safety hazards. Another objective of green design is to minimize the number of different materials used in a product. If you use fewer materials, it means that it's easier to recycle, because the more materials that are in a product, the more difficult it is to recycle that particular product. You want to make sure that you label the materials so they can be identified for recycling. So these are the plastic labels that you see on plastic bottles that tell you which ones to group together. Because essentially, when you're recycling, you can't group something from group 1 with group 3. Those are two different plastics, and you can't mix them together. Here's an example. You can click on this. This is the Coca-Cola World Without Waste example. So have a look at that. The IB loves drivers also. So whenever you see drivers, you definitely want to pay attention to that. So one of the drivers of green design is, of course, consumer pressure. So this is a collection of individuals who hold a similar viewpoint on a particular topic, for example, the environment, and who take action to promote positive change to meet their goals. So this is Green America. This is the chocolate scorecard, and you can see these are the different chocolates that score well on that. So this would be a consumer pressure group. Environmental legislation. Again, the IB loves legislation. They love drivers. So when you're seeing this is going to be on an exam, I guarantee. So environmental legislation encourages the design of green products that tackle specific environmental issues, for example, in eliminating the use of certain materials, encouraging energy efficiency. Green legislation is defined as laws and regulations that are based on conservation and sustainability principles, followed by designers and manufacturers who create green products. The preservation principle is the avoidance or minimizing of producing waste in relation to production, use, and disposal of a product. So action should be taken before damage occurs. This is that prevention principle. And this is usually based on past catastrophic or prior scientific data and research. So prevention, if you think of this as an allegory of human disease, it's better to prevent a disease than try to cure somebody from having the disease after they have it. So for instance, if you can vaccinate somebody against measles, it's better than trying to cure them once they get measles. So we want to prevent environmental damage before it happens, not after it happens, and then try to mitigate or address it after it happens. So again, the precautionary principle, action should be taken so that risk to damage is avoided. There may be uncertainty. Some scientific evidence is perhaps not conclusive about the risks of environmental harm. This allows protective measures to be taken without having to wait until damage materializes. For example, we know that air pollution can cause respiratory illness, but how much air pollution is acceptable? Now, your role in this is really thinking about the environmental impact of the production, use, and disposal of any product that you design. And this can be modified by the designer through careful consideration at the design stage. And we're going to come back to our friends incremental change and radical change. So are we doing evolution or are we doing revolution? And we've defined these earlier in clean technology, so I'm not going to redefine them right now, but they're there for you. But as incremental change, and the designer's role here, you want to make small changes over time. So changes to the material. Are we using recycled or recyclable materials rather than non-recyclable materials? Are we avoiding composite materials that are difficult or expensive or can't be recycled? Is there a limited number of materials? So for example, a Tetra Pak, one of these boxed juices or boxed milks that you use, they have multiple layers and they're very difficult to recycle because those multiple layers include different types of plastics and cardboards and papers and things like that. And so they're essentially not recyclable. Manufacturing techniques, are you using clean technology? And are you making it so that you can actually disassemble your product? This is important for recycling because if you can disassemble it easily, so you're using things like screws or fasteners that come apart rather than glues or nails or rivets, stuff like that, things that don't come apart easily, it's better, right? So we want to make sure that we are designing for disassembly. Radical changes. This is, again, revolution, right? You have to make big changes to the design of the product or service and completely overhaul the manufacturing process when using green technology systems. All right, thank you for watching.